Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's pre-hurricane project is time to figure out how low we can lower the pressure on this dually rear tire set so we can take her out on the beach and or camping on the beach somewhat responsibly by knowing how much we can air down these rear tires and the front tires for that matter. Just got done adding some tire pressure valve stems, or extensions anyway. Obviously on a dually, if you're familiar, that this outer tire here, you can see how it turns inward there, going the wrong way. So it ends up, forcing you to use a different type of tire inflation device, tire pressure gauge, all that kind of stuff. But when you do this, you can just wrap it around through, mount it wherever you want, and then you can get a bite on there. The inner tire comes from way inside there. Typically you would probably pull these tires off, rotate the outer one around 180 degrees or something like that so that you can have these coming out of different holes. I didn't feel like doing that. I didn't find it to be necessary. So that's where they ended up, coming out of the same hole. I don't care. That one's there for the inner tire. That one's there for the outer tire. Now we can play around with these things a little bit. And number one, we can find out how many PSI we can drop these. I believe they're set at 60 right now, if I remember correctly, from the dealership. When I bought this thing originally about 7 months ago or so. I think they topped them off during an oil change, free oil change that I had coming. So we're gonna deflate these guys until those two inner tires basically touch or come awfully damn close to touching. So then we can close up the gap on those and just see how many PSI we need to drop this thing to with this 5,000 plus pound Lance 1172 in the truck bed. And get these tires so that they're beach ready as they can be anyway. You know what I mean? It's all relative. So we're down at 40 PSI, and I'm just gonna say right now, for the record, I'm uncomfortable with this. As I'm airing this thing down, I'm like, there's just so much weight on this this truck right now. This weight is over 14,000 pounds GVWR as we speak here. Actually, it's probably like 100 pounds at the most. Before hitting GVWR. So this is the inner tire. We're at 40 PSI there. And this is the outer tire here. 41. So I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. Alright, so 39.5. So, I'm going to try to take a couple of measurements here just to see what kind of surface area we're dealing with. I don't really know anything about beach running other than what these guys on the Corpus Christi beach rescue forum are teaching me as we speak. So, I'm going to tell you right now, I've got, let's see, is this tread is touching there, tread is touching there. So I've got 9.5 inches. Nope, I've got 9 inches of tread touching the pavement as we speak here. Presumably, if you're on sand, we could call that probably 10, I guess. And then I haven't, the sidewalls aren't touching the ground, it's pure tread. So my pure tread width that is touching is 7 inches wide. So I basically have 14 inches of tread, 14 inches that way and 9 inches that way, so I can do my math later, figure out how many square inches I actually have touching land as we speak. And that's what it looks like laterally. I'm just uncomfortable getting any lower than 40 PSI in these rears, to be honest. So hopefully, if needed, hopefully that's going to be enough. I know that you can theoretically touch rubber if you're on the beach because you're going such low speeds and stuff. You're not going to build up much heat there, but I am not comfortable getting lower than this person. And then here's the other thing I've never taken the time to actually do yet, is to bust this thing out. This thing will go up to, I think, 100 or 110 PSI. So it's good for this thing because my front tire's max 80 PSI anyway. But I've actually pull this out to see how long it takes to fill these up. So let's see how long it takes us to get our 20 psi back on this thing. Let's see. All right, I hope this last portion makes some sense anyway. So yeah, so when I bring these back up to 60 psi, I've only got 6 inches of rubber physically contacting the pavement right now. From this one here is contacting right at the edge of that nub, and then about 2/3 of the way this way on here. So when I do the measurement on there, I end up with 6 inches, versus when I drop this thing from 60 psi down to 40 psi, we get 9 inches of surface contact. The lateral is pretty damn close to the same. I'd say you get like maybe an extra 1/2 inch surface contact. There's just a slight lift on this inner lip laterally here. So yeah, I'll give it just a fraction there. But since you're dropping down from 9 down to 6, we got 33% increase in tread on the ground, or excuse me, in rubber on the ground when you drop this thing 20 psi. 33% increase is what you end up with there. All right, hope that helps somebody. Better post this just for clarity. All these calculations are with this 5,000 pounds in the bed of this truck. All right, everybody. So continue on with this project here. I've got a 2017 4th Gen Ram 3500 dually, 4-wheel drive, 68 RFE, 6.7 Cummins long bed, and if I didn't say 4-wheel drive, it's got 4-wheel drive. What I'm trying to do some math on is if this thing right here can have this thing right here sitting inside this thing right here with these guys right here and these guys right here and still get away with driving on the beach. Obviously, there's not going to be a clear-cut answer on this because there are just far too many variables. But what I can give you are some of my particular variables to hopefully give you a better understanding of what your rig might be able to accomplish in a sandy environment on a beach. All right, so here's a couple of the known values. This is how much my particular truck weighs completely empty except for a full tank of diesel stuffed to the brim, and really close to approximately 3 gallons of DEF fluid that should not be in this vehicle, if you know what I mean. So we're talking 8,740 pounds just for the vehicle alone. That 8,740 includes the removal of this. This thing was not in play during the time of that weigh-in. And with that kind of a weight right now, as she sits, what I can also tell you is that the actual contact patch is right at 6 1/4 inches. Okay, you're gonna have to trust me on that. We got a hurricane coming to Houston right now, and it's starting to rain, so I'm gonna make this a little quicker, not do every measurement. Contact patch over here, we're looking at 5 1/2 inches for each tire. Okay, when these are aired up at exactly 60 psi. All right, so as soon as you drop that inside of there, you end up with 84 square inches of contact patch, which is right at just awfully close to 22% increase in contact patch on the rear tires. Unfortunately, I did not yet take a look at what the stock contact patch is on the front tires, or with the load on there. So I need to figure that out as well, because it does put a significant amount of weight on that front. And of course, that's with 60 psi on all 4 of the rears, and that is with 60 psi on the fronts as well. You drop this down exactly 33%, drop from 60 down to 40 psi, right? The contact patch increased exactly that, give or take, let's say 5% of variance for, me being a non-scientist idiot doing this test. But I ended up with a 33% increase in contact patch with the load when I dropped those from 60 down to 40. So I'll be honest, I was expecting a lot bigger change dropping this down to 40 psi. The innermost line there and that line are the 60 psi mark, and then I had to scribe a mark in the concrete because of the wet surface here for these. So let me measure that up. All right, so what I realized is I did not have those previous marks at a 90-degree angle to the tire, so I'm gonna have to redo those. So right here you got 6 3/4 inches is where I'm coming out with a drop with the down to 40 psi drop. I'm gonna drop these down to 30. All right, so we're down at 30 psi, both these rear tires. Getting a little more scientific as we go. Should have done this to begin with, squaring it all off with a triangle here. But we are right at a contact patch right now. Seven and a half inches. All right, so 7.5, and then we got 7 on each of these lateral. Yeah, it's a little less than 7. I'd say it's a 6.5 inches of contact there. The inner walls of these tires are so far apart right now. Inner wall, if I had to eyeball guess, is 1 1/4 inches from touching. They're just not close enough to matter. Now, if we were in a hard turn, maybe that changes dynamically, of course, but we're not. It looks tighter on camera. That's an inch, 1 1/4 minimum. All right, so here is 20 psi on each of these rears, and let me just do this. Discovery HTPs. These are LT2. What is 235 80 R17s. All right. So right there, 8 5/16 inches is the spread on there at 20 psi. As far as the inside goes, literally almost 0 difference is what I'm showing here. I would say I'm at still 1 1/4 inches there, from the bulges touching each other, not the tread. Obviously the tread will never touch each other, so yeah, I'm gonna call that 1 1/4 inches. It's just not moving a whole lot, so I don't know how low we got to get these things in order to actually get that stuff to touch, but it's not doing as much as I thought. All right, we got another rain band coming in, so let's make it quick here. This is 15 psi, and that's going to measure out at 9 6/16. I can't remember what the last one was, but excuse me, 9 5/16. 9 5/16 is what we're at. 15 psi. And then the inside has closed up just a little bit now. Right now I'm eyeballing that, but I'm going to call that right at 1 inch. It looks like a clean, just perfect 1 inch right there. So again, we're talking about the bulge a little higher up, not the very bottom of the pavement there. Another thing that we're getting at 9 psi, excuse me, 15 psi, is the lateral measurement. So, you know, if you're looking at the tire from the rear of it, you got the kind of cup, right? So at full psi, you're missing some of the traction a little bit at the very edges. Right here at 15 psi, you're getting full coverage. I'd say just a gnat's ass hair shy of 7 full inches per tire. So you're getting that 9 5/16 this way. You're getting a full 7 inches on each tire, 14 inches of coverage that way. All right, front tires, contact patch, 10 1/8 inch, and that's with 60 psi. I know you guys, some of you guys want to run these 80 psi like the manufacturer recommends, but not this guy. So anyway, 10 1/8 inch contact patch. Across here, right at 7 inches. That's what we're touching on pavement on the front side. Almost the entire width of the tread, basically. All right, so dropped it down to 40 psi on the front. It is bulging pretty good. That's as far as I feel comfortable taking that thing down, and I'm getting a full 12 inches of contact across there now, so I'll do the math on that later and hopefully post it right around in here. So that is completely unloaded weight, nothing but a full tank of diesel in there and 3 gallons of DEF.